Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. I hope you're all doing great, and welcome to this new video right here on Solana. We're going to do a full update. We'll talk about the Solana ETF, which matters a lot. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about Solana fundamentals. That actually wasn't my thought going into this video, so we'll probably not. But we'll talk about some technicals and just in general what to expect. Solana has been relatively strong. You can also see another momentum initiative candle coming in right here. Yesterday evening we saw quite some strong momentum for Bitcoin and therefore also for the markets. However, we've also hit a significant resistance level right here between 141 and 144, which, by the way, was also our main price target in the last video I made on Solana 2 days ago. If you watched that video, you were 100% prepared for everything that came, right? What we said then said we would most likely tackle some of those imbalances to the downside. That was right here, and then afterwards we would move into 141, and then there we would find resistance. Now the thing that I think is quite interesting right now, or at least what has happened with Solana, that I think is quite interesting, and that makes me doubt my own analysis a little bit, because I said we would push down from 141, 144, is the fact that we had quite a lot of momentum coming into Solana yesterday, and the initial reaction at 141 and 144, which is a very strong resistance level, right? I mean, that is the point of control right here, and also a respected level right here of the entire range from March 2024 until right now. So it's quite like it's the most liquid area. So usually we actually do get some sort of a strong reaction there. Right now we have momentum coming in, and there's not really a strong reaction right there. And overall, the market conditions are also not bad at this point of time. When we're talking about the general market conditions, right? So unrest, geopolitics, which obviously plays into unrest, etc., etc. And then there's also something interesting that I think for Solana matters from a fundamental / technical perspective. It's a little bit mixed. And that's two things, right? So the big question right now for Solana is, okay, can we break out and rally all the way into that level at 152 and 154, which would be our next resistance level? And given the fact that we have a massive fair value gap there, we would be able to slice through that quite quickly, right? So we would be able to get to 152, 154 quite easily. The big question is okay, can we do that? Or are we going to push down first, consolidate, and then do that? Because I do expect that. It's just, are we going to do it right now from where we are? Or are we going to pull back a little bit, Thanksgiving weekend, consolidation, and are we going to do it later? Maybe next week, maybe in 2 weeks. That's the main question. There's a couple of relevant things we need to look at. Technicals, of course, we'll look at that in a moment. But outside of that, there's two things that I think actually work in Solana's favor. First of all, ETF flows. Yesterday we had outflows. However, the outflows were minimal. The outflows were $8.2 million. The day before, we had $50 million of inflows. And we've had massive inflows for 2 weeks now or something. Or massive inflows, at least we have had inflows. Then outside of that, Solana being one of the biggest cryptocurrencies, you would not necessarily expect this, but it actually has a very negative funding rate. It has one of the most negative funding rates in the entire top 10. Only Zcash, I think, has a lower funding rate, and AVAX a little bit. What that means is that if you're long, you actually get rewarded. You get paid every funding round, right? So that also creates some sort of appetite to go long on Solana. So you have those things working in favor. You have market conditions that are relatively good. And then yesterday you have a lot of momentum coming in. That momentum did leave imbalances, right? So you can see a single print, fair value gaps, 7-day rolling VWAP, naked point of control. So the question, like I said, still is, are we going to break out first, move up to 152, 154, and then maybe later fill those imbalances? Or are we going to fill those imbalances right now and then later rally up? And let me say this up front. I've thought about this long and hard, and it's still a difficult thing to predict. Sometimes it's just difficult to predict these things. I would say it is a little bit more likely, given the conditions that we're entering and given the price action technically, that we're going to pull back. We're going to pull back into 137. Potentially, we could pull back into the 7-day rolling VWAP at 133. We'll find support, we'll consolidate, and then later we will break out. Okay, I think the breakout is coming, right? So that is not the question in my in the way I see it. It's just when, and right now I'm leaning towards a little bit later rather than sooner. But those are my thoughts. Hopefully it makes a little bit of sense. Hopefully it's valuable for all of you. But for now, thank you for watching. Take care and bye.